Welcome back, Scroopies.
Hey yo.
We're back with another edition of the 321SCREW ring sessions. And tonight's topic, the Phenom.
The Dead Man.
The Undertaker.
The American
Otherwise
Badass.
known as Mark Calloway.
Yes.
So,
We are your hosts, Case Wine.
Captain Bill.
Big Shot Joe.
Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the, last 30 years.
They might not know who the Undertaker is.
We all know who the Undertaker is. If they're watching a YouTube channel with a bunch of guys talking about wrestling, fairly certain they know who the Undertaker is.
It's true. All right. Just saying.
We're also probably
More
pretty
than
sure.
likely.
We're also pretty sure they know that
He's on the
he was
mount.
just inducted into the
WWE
Wrestling
Hall of Fame.
this past WrestleMania weekend.
I mean, in all jokes aside, Taker is on the Mount Rushmore.
Absolutely.
Let's
Absolutely.
just put that out
So,
there. I dare you to challenge me.
the three of us decided we wanted to do a show and just we want to talk about just the man, the myth, the legend,
The icon.
Undertaker. Just talk about just the man in general. Share some of our favorite Undertaker moments. Some of our favorite matches.
Ha! It's quite a bit.
Some of our favorite rivalries. And just the career of the Mark Calloway in general.
You said rivalries.
Before we get into Undertaker, hold on.
Does it every goddamn time?
No, but before we get into the Undertaker, because you guys didn't really watch him before he was Undertaker. I am old enough to remember watching him wrestling before he was the Undertaker. So
Yes, you
I
are.
have a knowledge and a memory of seeing him beforehand. When he was part of the skyscrapers.
Skyscrapers.
Seeing him when he
Mark
was
Calloway.
Mean Mark Calloway, exactly. It's kind of funny to see, how he became the character of the Undertaker.
The Dead Man.
And it just to think that WCW
Just let him go.
they released him, they fired him, and told him at the time that they fired him that we don't really see people paying money to see you wrestle.
Pretty much saying he's not marketable.
Yeah, we just don't see you as being marketable.
WCW is infamous for that kind of.
Wow, how were they
thinking.
wrong?
Stone Cold
With
Steve
also
Austin.
another famous
They had
superstar that became.
The Man.
they had Triple H at one time, and
They had Edge. Edge.
But we're not here to talk about Stone Cold, Edge, or Triple H. We're here to talk about the Undertaker. So let's get into it.
All right. Can I say what I was going to say now?
Yes, now you can.
Thank you. One thing that I remember of Undertaker that to me was money for the company, and it made superstardom for another superstar just off the name The Undertaker, was the famous rivalry of The Undertaker versus his younger brother Kane, half-brother Kane. And Glenn Jacobs, who was many other superstars, different gimmicks throughout the years, they came up with Kane.
Right.
Based
And
off
true.
of the Undertaker saga, and it continued the Undertaker saga in another direction.
Right.
So I thought that was probably one of Undertaker's most notable rivalries.
Right. But that also came well into his Undertaker career. Let's try to touch on some of the earlier stuff before we go diving into stuff that was like much further into his
You
Undertaker
just said
career.
name your favorite stuff. I
Right.
just named one of my favorites.
Right, but
I didn't know this was a history lesson.
it's not a history lesson, but let's kind of, let's talk about
Symmetrical order.
Jump Ahead Joe is famous for
I
that
am
kind of
not
stuff.
jumping ahead. I'm just saying one thing
You're
that
not
I
jumping
like.
ahead? We're talking about the Undertaker, and you are jumping something that is 15 years into his career.
We're not telling his life story. We're telling what we thought of him. What some of our favorite.
You're not grasping the
He
point.
said
there,
some of our favorite moments.
You're not grasping the point there, huh?
I am grasping the point.
So
I
anyhow,
just don't like it.
you know, when he showed up at.
Go ahead. When he showed up at.
One of these times, we're gonna have a video of just me stabbing Joey to death.
And then Kyle better go to the authorities with it. Anyways, Kyle.
So,
and Bill, continue.
It was, I actually remember watching back when Undertaker first made his appearance as Undertaker.
91.
Right. I wasn't necessarily watching that particular paper. I wasn't watching that pay-per-view.
Right.
But I was watching WWF at that time. And of course,
Survivor Series.
they were showing.
That was the event.
Of course, they were showing highlights and everything. And one of the things I remember the most about his initial appearance, which a lot of people don't realize, was not with Paul Bearer.
Nope.
The first person he came to the ring with was Brother Love.
I love you.
Exactly. But the thing I remember most about his first appearance was Rowdy Roddy Piper saying, "Look at the size of that ham hock," on commentary.
When
and
he was coming down to the
when he
ring.
was coming down the ring, it just cracked me up.
Way to go, Hot Rod. You nailed it.
But he just when he first made his appearance, there was such a
Eerie.
a eerie mystique and mystery about him. He didn't talk.
He didn't
He
move
didn't
very
talk.
fast.
He was very cold, motionless. That his attire was
Very
they had
pale
the
looking
purple.
face.
Yeah, they did the makeup with the pale and the dark around the eyes.
He had that Western Undertaker look.
Right,
That was
yeah.
the gimmick. That
and
was
he was almost like he was much more like superhuman, supernatural, in a way that like he was just like unstoppable. People would just beat on him, and it just seemed to have no effect. And
he would do the sit up.
and just another thing that just I always remember about Undertaker was when Bobby the Heenan was talking about one time, and he was talking about how he saw him backstage and he shook his hand. I shook his hand, and it was ice cold. I'm telling you, and it just
Corpse-like.
Exactly.
And because Mark Calloway was so good at the character, he made us all believe that he was the Undertaker.
Right.
The dead man.
He is also one character that rarely ever stepped out of character. He was old school to the point where what you saw on TV is who he was going to be in the public eye.
Oh yeah, dude.
Even off camera.
He kept kayfabe.
He's one of the
he took it to heart.
He's one of the last of the old schoolers. Seriously.
And
I mean,
speaking of when he first came into WWF at the time, he was one of only people who was able to defeat the immortal Hulk Hogan. And not only did he defeat him, but he beat him for the World Wrestling Federation Championship.
for his first championship.
Yeah.
Very early in his career.
And wasn't that Taker's very first championship in that company, like of any title?
Yeah.
Very
That's people, fans of the Undertaker now who watch him, some of the younger fans. It's kind of I think about that how. When they think about they think about the Undertaker. They think about the Undertaker and and Stone Cold and the Undertaker and Rock and the Undertaker and Mankind, Foley, the Undertaker and Kane, and all that. But I remember the old Undertaker, like I was saying, the Undertaker back in the day. The Undertaker against the Hulk Hogan, Undertaker with Ultimate Warrior,
Yokozuna.
Macho Man, Yokozuna.
Yep.
Giant Gonzalez.
Back those days. Well, I mean, even back before then.
That was a terrible match.
The Hart Foundation. That kind of those days.
We get it.
Just
we get it.
and just to have watched, literally seeing just this character just grow and change and evolve over the years, has really been kind of cool. For, like I said, especially for someone like me who saw him before he became the Undertaker, and then remembers him from from the very beginning of the Undertaker, from the inception of Undertaker up until his very last match, and his induction into the Hall of Fame.
Well, and the thing is, like, if you watch the Last Ride biography he made,
Which I did.
Right.
Fantastic, if you have not seen it.
He also talked about every time he got injured or every time he got off camera and left, he always said he needed to reinvent himself each time he came back, whether it was a hairstyle or a new outfit or a persona like the American Badass, something. He always did something to keep him relevant and up with the times of changing.
Well, right, because that original Undertaker character that he had, it wouldn't have worked, in the later years. When it started hitting to get to that attitude era and all,
Well, with the times, you gotta progress with it. You have to, like, look at today's product. Today's product, it's all fast paced. You can't do none of this. He's got him in a chokehold for 11 minutes. You can't do that no more. You can't do the slow punches.
The Ministry of Darkness version of Undertaker was the last time that he was the closest to what he was, the original Undertaker kind of, thing. That's the last time he was. It's kind of similar. That was the closest. Even that was different, but that was still the whole,
Right. Well, and
dark, supernatural, fucking.
Well, let's talk.
Evil.
Let's talk about that though. When he got injured bad, he was working injured too, and he had to leave. He was gone for like almost a year, and just random pay-per-view showed up, like The Rock and Triple H were in a Iron Man match, 1 hour. And this is when DX was formed with Vince and all them, So all of a sudden you hear these 3 girls like chanting a prayer. It's eerie though.
Yes.
Kind of Freddy Krueger-ish like.
I know what you're talking about.
Right? So now, then all of a sudden you hear American Badass come on from Kid Rock. And you see The Undertaker looking like a biker coming down to the ring. And it's like, what the fuck is this? And he was just cleaning fucking house.
Yeah.
I mean, and then that became
He cost The Rock the championship.
He did. That was kind of a dick move. But I was more excited The Undertaker came back and just said Rock can win it another time. But, it just, and all the elements were there, and it was something brand new. Something like we haven't seen before. Like, he actually showed like a more human side to himself.
Right.
When he became the American Badass. And when he was American Badass, that was really the first time him and Kane started forming the Brothers of Destruction.
Would you say that the American Badass version of Undertaker is your favorite version of...
I'm going to be honest. Me, personally, the Ministry thing when I was younger, it kind of creeped me out. It did, because we were young. We were little, and it was like, all right. But all the Undertaker stuff I enjoyed. But which, by the way, Undertaker has gone on record saying he hated the Ministry gimmick.
I tell you what, you talk about the Ministry scaring
you. You talk about...
Listen, you talk about the Ministry being creepy and scaring you? Back when he first come out, though, in the old school with the purple and the old West looking type of... He scared kids big time. He scared kids.
Oh, they got complaints and everything.
Oh, yeah, dude. The kids were really afraid of him back then.
They were. It wasn't that I was afraid of it. It was weird. It's like, what the fuck?
No, kids were afraid of him.
Right. Well, I mean, but you also... So, then it was like, okay, he's going to turn it up a notch. The Ministry side is dead. Now it's time to start fresh, start new. Let's put some of my real personality into this. The man's a fucking motorcycle enthusiast.
Yeah.
You know, he's probably got a million fucking bikes. You know, and
American Badass, Big Evil.
you know, wearing normal biker clothes, fucking, you know, it was definitely different to see The Undertaker, but then it became natural.
Digging holes and taking souls.
Yeah, man, that's a pretty cool line.
Dead Man Inc.
I mean, what did you think of Dead Man Inc?
I thought Dead Man Inc. was very creative. It definitely worked for the time what was happening in that era.
Yeah, right? And then after it got over as a face, he decided to go heel. Because Taker was always those ones that went heel face. It didn't matter. He was Taker. It didn't matter. But he was a really bad guy at this point. Because he was the biker and he sided with Vince McMahon and beat the shit out of good old JR. Does that mean you're better than me? And JR's like, what? And wah! Sa-sa! He fucking chair shotted JR.
You know,
he made JR kiss Vince McMahon's ass.
He changed
Another
his style
dick move.
too, because back in the day, he was very Michael. He was very Michael Myers like, slow,
Yes.
methodical,
Yes.
just unrelenting. You know, just like nonstop. He didn't have those fast moves. You know, and
You know who?
he just. And in fact, he talked about how he just kind of that character was kind of
No emotion.
modeled after kind of modeled after that Michael Myers like
he
character.
was kinda.
But when he did the American Badass, that's when he was the striker and he the punches and all that shit. You know,
Yes.
Moving faster
And let me just say, that character alone, think of the names in that generation it got over. Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar had a huge feud with Undertaker. And that got Lesnar over big time. I mean, Undertaker even starting out John Cena. He feuded with John Cena. He feuded with JBL. JBL was becoming one of the top heels at the time. You know, and Undertaker... Well, no, I take that back. JBL, that was after the American Badass, when he just came back as the Dead Man. So I take that part back. But, like I said, he evolves, man. And that's... Even at the Hall of Fame, he had a new hairstyle.
Yeah.
It was like he changes it up each time he's back on television. Each time. He's had outfits that made him look like he was something out of Hellraiser. And then he's had outfits where he looked like you said, the original with the purple and stuff. Some people preferred that over all of them. You know, even in the Hall of Fame, his outfits are so iconic for a superstar. They had his outfits on display on stage. I thought that was cool. You know, Taker definitely, like I said in the beginning, he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
The man, he is the big guy. He was the leader of the locker room. Ain't nobody gonna tell him that they're not gonna do something.
Right.
You know, Taker, that's why Taker, and I never realized this up until a few years ago, I didn't realize the close relationship he had with Vince McMahon. Like, pretty much like a son.
Yeah.
You know?
Vince was like a second father to him, yeah.
Well, and you hear a lot of those guys, the top stars, they'll tell you, they still look at Vince like a father figure.
Yeah.
Even Hulk Hogan. Even though him and Hogan butt heads a lot. Hogan's that one kid that just, you know, he's got to be a pain in the ass.
They're the same age.
You know, and
Shut up.
You were talking about you were talking about Kane.
Yes.
That is, and you know, a lot of people have said it, and I do agree that I do think that the Undertaker Kane storyline is probably the greatest story ever told in wrestling.
And you know what they did that was absolutely right? They had Paul Bear set it up saying, "He's coming, Taker! He's alive! Your brother Kane!" Then everybody's like, "Oh shit, who's this guy?"
Paul Bear was awesome, in my opinion. He just he was one of the best things for the Undertaker. I really do believe that Paul Bear really truly
sold the Undertaker,
helped the Undertaker.
Well, it absolutely
just become, you know, just really just helped him.
It's like
achieve that.
It's like Paul Heyman with Brock. It's that same dynamic.
Paul Heyman with Roman Reigns now, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. He's such a good damn heel. He is.
But Paul Bearer, which that's another funny thing, is because I remember before there was Paul Bearer, I remember when he was, you know, Percy Pringle, I think it was, and you know, and he was a manager.
Like Mid-South Wrestling and shit like that.
And he was good. He was such a dick back then. As a manager then too. He had blonde hair but you know.
Oh yes. Sorry, I had to. But yeah, no, Bill, I agree. I mean, Kyle, what do you think? You think the Paul Bearer gimmick was what kind of solidified Taker getting over?
Absolutely, because when Taker first came in, he didn't really talk a whole lot.
Right, so he had Paul Bearer.
That was his voice box.
No, he had Brother Love when he first came.
Well, he did, but he's talking about when he got paired with him.
Right, and Paul Bearer was because Paul Bearer was, as like they said, he was a legit licensed mortician.
So it worked. So he was able to do that.
Yeah, because he brought in certain aspects. He things he knew and just.
Yeah.
But
and then it worked great because when it was time to flip the switch, then they were able to use that same gimmick for stars like Mankind.
Yeah, when he hit Undertaker with the urn and gave it to Mankind.
What did he do? Can he do that?
Where's he gonna go now?
Yeah. So let me ask you.
Be paired with?
So let me ask you: is the Undertaker Kane rivalry your favorite Undertaker rivalry?
I have 3.
I'm asking you your favorite.
Yes, but I have 3 top rivalries.
I'm not asking you your top ones, your favorite.
Yes, Bill.
Kyle,
it is my favorite.
Your favorite
My favorite of all
rivalry.
time. Cain and Abel.
Oh, my favorite Undertaker rivalry
is?
I think there's a lot of rivalries out there.
Shawn Michaels.
Ah, you dick. That was
Undertaker Shawn Michaels is my favorite rivalry.
All right, but you can't deny.
I really liked Undertaker Kane. I liked Undertaker Mankind, but there's just something about the Undertaker Shawn Michaels rivalry that I really enjoyed. Because Shawn Michaels Undertaker was he was a big guy. Shawn Michaels, they worked. Even though they were such different, like size, stature and all, but Shawn Michaels was such a good worker, and him and Taker worked so well together.
Even at that age, where they had their 2 WrestleMania classics, at that age, carrying each other like that.
The Shawn Michaels retirement match against the Undertaker
was your favorite.
That's one of my favorite Undertaker matches
of all time.
Ever. Yeah, that one.
Well, can I just say, because you need.
Yeah, go ahead. I just wanted you to.
Mine.
I wanted to. Wait. He doesn't give his favorite.
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle. Talk.
You talk now.
You have my permission.
Let's acknowledge Kyle.
Acknowledge me. No. Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That is a notable one. I will give you that. The Highway to Hell.
Because the summer of '98.
I'm on the highway to hell.
They had some pretty epic matches.
They did.
That was the theme. They used the song and everything.
They had a Buried Alive match.
They did.
They had a First Blood match.
They did.
They had a it was supposed to be a triple threat match, but it was Kane and Undertaker beating the shit out of Austin in one sitting.
And then Austin fucked them over the next pay-per-view and was the referee and counted himself as the champ.
That was some very unique matches.
They were.
Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Undertaker.
But what was cool was you still had another rivalry involved in that, Kane and Taker.
Right.
So it was when you can do that and involve a third party, dude. It's awesome. But so you had Austin and Taker.
I would also like to add that the part about Kane being a rivalry at all, if it wasn't because of the Undertaker, there wouldn't even be a Kane. Yeah, because that character came from
Taker chose him.
the Undertaker's story.
Taker chose him.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
he did.
He chose him, and you know why? He probably saw he had a good work ethic.
Well,
This guy's
Undertaker had
big.
seen him when
He was the Christmas creature.
yeah, when he was in another
Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
yeah, another wrestling promotion, and he seen him, and Taker
At a-
said, you know, he's like, you got to see this guy, man. He's
Yeah,
this big guy, you know, he can move, he can work.
he could. And you know what? He is the only other wrestler that I know of that can rip off the entire
Moveset.
of the Undertaker and get over. It's the truth.
And in some instances, like me and you talked about the other night, do them better than the Undertaker.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Listen.
And even the Undertaker will admit that.
Yeah, Taker had a cool choke slam, but Kane had a fucking awesome choke slam.
Yeah.
Undertaker, yes, he had a badass tombstone, but Kane just fucking put a little bit more oomph into it. I believe that the head hit the ground better when Kane did it versus the Undertaker. Just
Yep.
saying. Just saying. Then, wait. Let me just say, let me get it out real quick. Kyle, name off your other rivalries real quick. We're still on that. Austin Taker, done. Go to the next one.
Well, I like Kane and Undertaker.
That's two.
I would say Undertaker and Kurt Angle.
Wow. You're thinking of the scooter.
So those are your three. My three for Undertaker is Shawn Michaels, Kane, and probably Mankind.
Right. Now, I'm going to say my three. Okay? The Undertaker, Kane, Shawn Michaels, I'll agree with you on that one. I'm going to go with the Game, Triple H. I just want to tell you why real quick.
Tell us.
At WrestleMania 27,
Time's up. Let's move on.
at WrestleMania 27, you piece of work, before that, this was the one where The Rock was hosting. Triple H comes out from being injured. Taker's in the ring. Nothing said. Triple H comes out. He has his shades on. There's the big WrestleMania sign. Biggest reaction without those two having to say a word, knowing that they're having a match at WrestleMania. Do you remember that?
I remember that. I was going to get to that in another thing that I was going to ask you guys about.
Well, I just brought it
Because
up.
we talked about greatest, our favorite rivalries. I was going to ask you guys some of your favorite
Moments.
Undertaker moments. That, I'm with you on that. That was one of them. One of the coolest moments. He comes out, gets in the ring. Undertaker's face, not a fucking word was spoke. They stared at each other.
And then they both look.
Well, one of them looked at it first. I think it was Triple H looks up at the WrestleMania sign
And
first.
Taker's like...
Taker turns, he looks up at it.
And Taker kind of chuckles at him.
They
like,
both turn and look back at each other. And then,
I think he even did one of these.
leave the ring or whatever.
And, went,
And
and left the
every
ring.
single fucking person in that ring knew what that meant. Not a word was spoken.
Well,
everyone knew.
in the ring they knew because it was just Taker and Triple
I'm talking about in the arena.
In the arena, oh,
In the arena, every person in that arena
I know,
knew what that meant. Every person watching at home on Raw knew what that meant.
That is true. I went ape shit.
That meant Triple H and Taker.
It was on. It was on like Donkey Kong.
So, but yeah, that was one of my favorite Undertaker moments.
One of my
Another one of my favorite Undertaker moments.
Say too.
No, because you just talked about one of your favorite moments.
What
No, one of my favorite Undertaker moments was when he had the symbol. And actually, it was two instances, but the same kind of thing. But it was when one was with Stephanie strapped to the symbol,
And Austin.
and then Austin strapped to the symbol.
And Raw goes off the air,
That's
and you
why
see
I love
Austin.
that rivalry so much.
Yeah, that was a good rivalry. Real quick, one of my favorite moments, WrestleMania 28, the Hell in a Cell match. Triple H, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels is the ref. Shawn Michaels fucking made that match more dramatic than what it was.
The image of those three standing up on the top of the ramp.
That was the moment.
Yeah.
That was the moment. Because it was like they were the last of that era. You know what I mean? Like, Mick was gone, You know, all those guys were gone. Angle was gone. Austin was gone. Rock, all of them. It was Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Taker.
Another one of my favorite moments, or Undertaker moments, which you mentioned, was when he showed up as the American Badass on the bike.
Oh, absolutely.
That was awesome. Here's another one. When it was this is when the Undertaker Kane union, I guess, sort of first got, when Undertaker turned and started to beat the shit out of Paul Bearer, and Kane just turned around. Turned his back on it, and just watch. And right behind him, Taker's just beating the hell out of Paul Bearer.
If I can,
that was such a cool moment.
I just want to tell you about that since you were saying. There is a book that WWE made where as if it's Kane's childhood story.
Right.
It's so awesome. It ties in everything with their rivalry. It ties in Katie Vick. It ties in, dude, everything. But it was dark.
Right.
And it's just, that's why it's my favorite, because it's like that storyline had a book made out of it, like a prequel to it, you know? Like, it's just, but anyway, Kyle, what's one of your favorite moments?
Just give us a
because
few.
we won't shut the fuck up, so you...
No, I had every intention of letting Kyle tell some of his.
I didn't.
That's not surprising.
Anyway.
Woo! 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 Woo!
This isn't the Flair episode, guys.
Woo! Oh, we're going to chop the shit out of each other on the Flair episode. Go ahead, Kyle.
Throwing Mick Foley off the Hell in a Cell.
That was pretty fucking
is a
cool.
very epic moment in wrestling history.
That was at a point where you're wondering if
and then
is Taker
just
homicidal?
Just take her standing on top,
looking down,
and then
if
throwing him off once wasn't bad enough, throwing him through.
Well, see, here's the thing. Going off the cage, that was supposed to happen. Going through the cage,
it wasn't
supposed to happen. And to make it worse, a steel chair was up there with them. What happened? Came down, cracked Mick right in the face.
And stepping on Kyle's moment.
Speaking of Taker working injured, he had a broken ankle during that match.
Broken foot.
Ankle, foot.
Same area.
Well,
that's one. You had some other favorite Taker
Yeah, come on, pop them out.
When he returned at WrestleMania 20 against Kane.
That was a cool fucking moment.
That was one of my favorite moments.
That's when the dead man officially returned.
That's right, Joey. And I will also agree that becoming American Badass was also one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, you can't deny it because
another favorite moment for me, going a little bit back, was when he had the casket match against Yokozuna, and he was in the casket, and then the lights went out. And then lightning struck the casket, and then he said his famous words that night, that the Undertaker's gonna live again, and he will not rest in peace.
Wow, you went.
Nobody's mentioned it, but Taker had a pretty decent little rivalry with the Ultimate Warrior as well.
Did he?
Yeah, they had some back in the day. They had some
was this like?
They had a casket match. Ultimate Warrior and Undertaker
was
had
this
a casket
like
match.
Taker's first year or what?
Yeah, obviously Ultimate Warrior.
Well, I don't remember when Ultimate Warrior left. I wasn't watching at that time.
That's what I'm saying. It was during the Ultimate Warrior time of WWF.
That's what I wanted to know.
They had a casket match.
I swear to God.
This is another one of my favorite Undertaker moments.
What's that, Bill?
Obviously, was the debut of the Undertaker.
Of course.
That was just a cool moment, dude.
Did you know that he wasn't the only debut at that Survivor Series?
Godly Gooker
Was the other debut.
Oh, Jesus.
and he was so afraid that he was going to be the Gooker.
Yeah. That's right. I remember that.
So quickly, I'll start this off since they started off everything else.
Favorite matches?
My all-time favorite match, WrestleMania 25, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels.
The first one, right?
The first one.
See, that I hold that argument with him too. He prefers the second one better. I prefer 25 better.
It's just that it was just the second one.
The story behind it?
Yeah, dude, it was just, the Undertaker black, Shawn Michaels all in white, Undertaker coming up, Shawn Michaels coming down from the heavens, it was like that, the good versus evil, white, the dark, the dark.
The yin to the yang.
Yeah, it just,
I get it, bro.
forget the fact that it was, the Shawn Michaels retirement match. It was just the story behind that. It was just, I thought it was kind of cool. But yeah, that one is one of my, and that one was what, 26 or 27?
The one I'm talking about.
No, the one that I'm talking about.
26. It was 26.
The one in white and black was 25. The retirement match was 26. There were two separate matches.
Was the white and black the 25? Oh, was 25.
I thought the white and black one was the retirement one.
No, that
No,
was
it's
25.
25.
That wasn't, okay, well then,
All right,
that's
then
the
we're
one
all
that I'm talking
unanimous.
about. That one, yeah. That one is my favorite Shawn
You can't-
Michaels Undertaker
Listen,
match.
I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna say it.
Hold on. He's only told one. Do you have any others? Favorite Undertaker
That's
matches?
true.
Another Undertaker match is one that Joey actually pointed out to me a while back. It was a triple threat match at a Vengeance pay-per-view. It was The Undertaker, The Rock, and Kurt Angle.
Yep.
Now, let me tell you something. I'm glad you told me about that match. That was one.
Oh yeah, because you hadn't seen it, and then
Right.
you went back, dude. It is still technically rated one of the greatest triple threat matches of all time. One of the greatest WWE Championship matches of all time. You had false finishes. You had them doing each other's signature moves on each other, finishers, all that stuff. You had the element of two heels and the superstardom of The Rock in there. I mean, it was explosive. Honestly, great choice, man. That's,
For me,
you got to see that, man.
3.
Go
I
ahead.
got 3. My top 3 Undertaker matches. I already told you one of them.
Yep.
The Shawn Michaels Undertaker WrestleMania.
Yep. 25.
The Undertaker Mankind Hell in a Cell.
Oh, absolutely.
And the Undertaker AJ Styles Boneyard match.
You did dig that. You were freaking stoked on
Love
that.
that. The Boneyard match also has contained one of my favorite Undertaker moments. And it's when AJ was on the front end loader trying to get it to start, starting it up so he could bury the Taker. Because he had thrown the Taker in the grave and he was trying to get it to start up so he could bury him. And all of a sudden, boom, the light lights up behind him and the Undertaker stands up behind him, and just such a cool fucking moment.
That was a cool moment. And especially with everything going on at that time, the pandemic, all that stuff, and they hit the nail on the head. And they only had about a day to film that.
And that was Taker's last match.
That was Taker's technical
And just the
last
way-
match.
The way, the Holy Trinity,
Would you-
where he kind of combined all the elements of
His Takers.
all the Undertakers, and just that match, because that match it was. I mean, it was Mark Calloway. It was the different versions of the Undertaker. Everything, it was like, it was a different Undertaker. It was like they made it feel personal, and just the way that match ended, and it ended with him on the motorcycle, throwing the fist in the air.
With Metallica playing.
The Metallica playing, the fucking Undertaker symbol, lighting up on the barn,
Triple H,
and him riding off into the night on the motorcycle. man.
Triple H directed some of that, right?
Yeah.
So, real quick, I want to just say mine real quick. The WrestleMania 25 match, Taker Shawn, unanimous here. I'm not going to say the triple threat because that one to me is known. So I get why you said it. I'm going to go with I dug the what was it? It was Mick Foley and him in the Boiler Room Brawl match.
That was a good
That was pretty freaking epic. And then if you really want to go somewhere, you mentioned Austin. The Buried Alive match was pretty fucking cool.
At rock bottom.
Yeah, that to me. So those were like, I mean, I can name off 20 Undertaker matches, but ones that stand out to me, those three.
The Inferno match with Kane.
Oh, see, there you go. There's another good one.
You know,
And
did he have a Hell in a Cell match with Kane also?
Later on, believe it or not, I think it would have been cooler if it would have been done when that rivalry was first hot. But they did it later on when Kane was unmasked and he was working.
Undertaker, he had a casket match against Yokozuna. He had a casket match against
Mark Henry,
Ultimate Warrior.
Mark Henry. He's done a casket match. I mean, Shawn Michaels. Everybody. He has really. That was his match. But think of a character that had so many matches that were his match. The Hell in a Cell technically was his match.
Right.
Casket match, Buried Alive match,
Inferno match.
Inferno match. Well, yeah, him and Kane, but yes, yeah, I'll give it to you. Yes, it was because
Boneyard match.
The Boneyard match, technically, yes. You know, Boiler Room Brawl. I'm gonna give that to Mick Foley.
Yeah, the Boiler Room Brawl.
That's a Foley
mankind.
thing. That's a Foley thing. You know, like, but it's just you think of that and say, what kind of persona you gotta have to where you actually have matches as they're your fucking matches. They're your theme. They can't be those matches without you being the one to innovate them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? First Hell in a Cell, they didn't know how that was gonna go. I mean, they knew it looked pretty fucking cool with him and Shawn Michaels, but it's what they did in there that sold that shit.
And then, of course, you were expecting Kane to show up.
Yep, and Kane showed up at the very first Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, ripped the door off.
But those, listen, as far as Undertaker's career, those are some of the biggest highlights that I will always remember of the Taker.
I mean, we could go on for another, another
hour.
hour.
Probably sit here another hour.
Talking about Undertaker stuff, but yeah, you're right.
The truth is, he deserves where he's at. He is in the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling. Okay? Now, I do think...
Hold on, I just got to say one more.
Well, we'll end it on this note.
One more favorite all-time favorite Undertaker moment.
What was that?
Seeing him be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Thank you, Taker. Mark Calloway, the Phenom, the dark leader of the ministry.
Thank you, Taker.
Thank you, Taker.
Okay, so I just want to say, how awesome would it have been with the dynamic between the Godfather and Taker that they would have been a tag team?
Yeah.
Imagine the hose trying to get on Taker and Taker's just...
Listen.
And Paul Bear's getting into it with the urn, you know? Like, oh my Undertaker, you should look at that.
Okay, real quick before we end this.
Yeah, hurry, because it's gonna.
Give me three things. Three things you would have liked to have seen the Undertaker do or be part of that never happened.
I would have liked to have seen him, honestly, when he was American Badass, to have his own biker gang.
Okay.
That was one thing I wanted. Kyle? Oh, you three things?
Yeah, give me three things.
Three things? Okay. I would have wanted to see Undertaker also, when he was on the SmackDown brand, I would have loved to have seen him become Ultimate Heel again. Like, you know, the later years after he came back in 2004, he was pretty much just the Taker.
Okay.
I wanted to see him more like, not like ministry, but like work.
Got it. I get you. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. But to be the top heel, I wanted to kind of see that because it's like he could go that way and who's going to really say anything?
Okay. And a third?
A third, I kind of wish Taker would have won a Royal Rumble earlier in his career. I would have thought before 2007 he would have won one of the Royal Rumbles.
Right.
So those are three things.
Three things I would have loved to have seen happen during Undertaker's career that never happened.
Right.
A match against Sting.
Oh, fuck you. He's right.
A match against The Fiend.
Well, yeah, he didn't have one against The Fiend.
And I would have loved to have seen him do the Taker Rooney.
So would Vince McMahon.
Kyle?
I don't have 3, but I have 1. I would have definitely picked somebody different than Brock Lesnar to end the streak.
Yeah.
It's up for debate.
Yeah.
It's up for debate.
Yeah.
But in my opinion,
I'd have chose Kane.
Kane or Shawn Michaels should have been the only 2 people that could take that streak from him.
The only reason why I think they went with Brock, and Paul Heyman explained it on an interview on Edge's podcast years back, is Vince went for the more believability aspect. The big monster, you're going to need a fucking freight truck to fucking take The Undertaker out at WrestleMania. That's where I think Vince was going. And Taker wouldn't have done it if he didn't want to do it.
Right.
But yes, I understand what you're saying, because, dude, I was actually at your house watching that WrestleMania. You assholes were at the event. I was sitting there with your brother and Lee Taylor. We're watching.
That was a weird freaking.
And we're like,
man.
We hear 1, 2, 3, and we're like,
it was weird.
Did that just fucking happen?
It was so quiet in the Superdome.
Brock thought he lost his hearing.
It was crazy.
I remember seeing, them panning out to people in the crowd and just the looks on their faces.
And Taker got seriously injured at that. Like, Vince McMahon went to the hospital with him.
Yeah, did he get like a concussion?
Bad concussion. Like, Taker was going down, son.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well, yeah.
So thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Undertaker, for
yes, absolutely, dude.
throwing
Thank you.
us for 30
You're the
years.
man.
Yeah, thank you for 30 years of awesome memories and
Digging holes and taking souls.
Yeah, man, you're just one of the. No, you know what? No, I take that back. Not one of the.
The greatest.
The greatest character
of all time.
The
of all
greatest
time in wrestling.
character.
The greatest character of all time.
There will never be a character that Vince McMahon comes up with that will be as successful as The Undertaker.
No, there won't.
There never will be.
Taker's loyal to that business because he allowed Goldust to do nasty things to him on TV. So Taker was like,
all right, folks.
With that being said, folks,
we will see you.
We hope you enjoyed
time.
this walk down memory lane with the Undertaker. Look for more of these. Look for more of these types of videos to come. As we were talking, we want to do some more spotlight type. Dude, we want to do one of these. We want to do Triple H. We want to do.
We also want to do the return of the RIP Invitational.
That's coming real soon. I've already put together the.
There's some new competitors.
List. We got some new entrants.
Scott Hall. Is that what you were referencing? Yeah. Scott Hall.
So,
New Jack.
But yes, like you said, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, if you to hit that like.
Subscribe.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Subscribe if you're not. Share this video with your friends. Tell them to watch it. And
we'll see you next time.
We'll see you on the next
right
one here on the 3,
2,
1.
Screw. Rest in peace. See ya.